Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Rebel Brick. Um, Today, I'm just going to kind of take my time building on this a little bit. This is actually set. It's a creator set. It's the pirate ship here. We got 31109, and I don't think I'm going to get it done here tonight or whatever. I had to work a little later. I had to start a little earlier, trying to get some forklift training done at work and all that stuff. And you get home late and eat and all that other fun stuff. But what I really want to kind of talk about is, watched the latest episode of Ahsoka. So really, I'm going to be just kind of putting this together and talking about the new Ahsoka show, which in a lot of ways, I think is pretty good. It started off a little slow, and I think a lot of people have made that comment. I do have to grab a book here. Trilogy, nope, wrong one. All right, so as I'm looking for the book, and I'm talking to you, one of the things that's just kind of working on me is just the whole, I know that Dave Filoni has got the rank, and of all things, I'm ex-military, so I guess it bothers me more for it. I got a Rebel Alliance book and I can't find it. I don't know where I put it. But it's just the whole rank issue for the Ahsoka, because they've got people with, maybe it's in the trilogy book here. If all I have to complain about is rank, that's a real minor thing. I think the show's going pretty good. I think it started off fairly slow, trying to build things up. I do agree with some people where they're talking about, if you haven't seen Rebels and that, then you probably have very little idea as to what's all really kind of going on here, and I will fully agree with that. For me, because I've watched Rebels and the Clone Wars and everything, so I know where a lot of this stuff is coming from. That doesn't bother me at all. But in the past, when he was doing Rebels, he had a missile that had actually come out of Kraken's threat dossier, and for me to know that and to have learned that along the way. I know he's got the West End game books, because West End games, the same system that we use for doing for me to do the live action role playing game, or not live action, but the role playing game that we're doing for our Sundays. It's the same system, and I'm just kind of thumbing through here and trying to just getting done eating, so I'm trying to get something out from between my teeth, as embarrassing as that sounds. It's really nice, because I mean we're finally getting a very nice view of the Ghost, and the Ghost looks very nice. The space whales that they had, and I know that they had done those in Rebels, and they made them look really good. I really like the idea. We do have some very big creatures. I'm not going to give any secrets away if you're not watching it and you're waiting to see it or whatever. I'm not going to give away any spoilers. I think things look pretty good. I think it's starting to build up. I think we have a pretty good story going. So in that regard, I think it works out pretty good. I'm just kind of a stickler on like the rank and all that stuff. I think it's because I've been in the service before. I didn't make it. I was in for 2 years. So I was in the Army. I played G.I. Joe for 2 years. I admit it. I'm one of those goofy individuals here that decided to play G.I. Joe. And that's the way I like to call it. I mean, I watched G.I. Joe growing up, and I had done a lot of that as a child. So for me, it was kind of a natural thing to kind of just grow into. So, and that's what I did. Here's a flat one. Okay. Trying to count out my pieces here. I'm thinking that if I do this a little slower, I'm not going to make as many mistakes, and I'm just going to take my time, and we're going to talk about the Ahsoka Star Wars here, and things will be kind of a little bit better, and I don't make so many mistakes, because that is where I usually run into my problems. I'm trying to rush things along, and then I make more mistakes here. And I just want to make sure I'm getting this done correctly, instead of mess it up and have to tear it apart. There's nothing worse than kind of making the mistakes and then sitting there saying, "Oh, great! Now I got to tear this apart." But getting back to the Star Wars and the Ahsoka show and all that, I think it is coming along really good. We'll have to see how it goes on from there, because I mean we're what, 4 episodes in. Like I said, I think it's coming along pretty good. Looking at the X-Wings that they've got, I think they're all doing it in CGI, but to be honest, to me it looks pretty decent, so I don't have any issues there. This one goes right here. I'm trying to build this up here. I'm hoping to get this done at some point here, and it's just going to take an extra day or two, because you know, when I'm at work trying to get training done for new hires and recertification stuff and all that fun stuff, unfortunately it just puts me behind on the fun stuff like doing this. I'd rather spend more time doing this, but you know, can't always do that. As much as I wish I could, I just can't always do that. So, all right. So yeah, just talking about the Ahsoka here. Like I said, that's doing good. So here's the part that's bothering me, and actually we have some pieces here. So if you ever notice with the Rebel Alliance, so what we have is, I'll use these square ones. Red is Army, and blue is Navy. So they have, when you look at it, you know, this is going to be an ensign, this is going to be a lieutenant. And in Army, you're going to have first lieutenant, and then you're going to go, finally you're going to get a Lieutenant JG, and then you're going to go, I believe it goes like this, and then we'll go, and we'll do the same thing here. So this is going to be a cap, or actually I think they actually have this as a captain in the Army. Okay, so and I think that's how it is in the book. To me, it probably should go like this, but anyways, that's captain in the Army. But when you translate it into the Navy, that's not going to be a captain, because these two, captain in the Navy is like a full bird colonel in the Army. So this is a whole different thing. So in the book, in the Rebel Alliance source book, you'll notice that they'll have one as a red and one as a blue, and then that way you get the idea. But they said that that's a captain, that's Army captain. This is not Army or Navy captain. There's a difference there. So this is either going to be a, well, that would have to be a lieutenant yet, because then when you get to major, now you're going to be a lieutenant commander. Okay, because then when they get to 4, and then you're going to be a lieutenant colonel. And I don't know if I have enough blues here or not. See? All right. Then you're going to be a commander. Because on the next one, and this is where things go a little different, because now if you look at, and I do have to kind of give a little pause here. This is my mind working through this, because when you look at Hera Syndulla, she's got the 5 here, and this is her as a general. Okay, so this is where things kind of mess up, and me being in the Army and that, and understanding differences between Army and Navy. My father was in the Navy. My middle brother was in the Navy, so I know a little bit about the Navy. Why I never went into the Navy is simply, and I was asked this by my father, my brother. Um, the only thing I knew how to do was just shoot a gun. I'm not some great, in role-playing games, I'm no tactician. I am no, I am just Joe average on anything. There's nothing special about me. Even doing this stuff, it's some silliness and just wanting to have fun. There's nothing special about me. Or at least that's the way I see it. I don't see anything really special. And for everybody that watches my content, I really do appreciate that because of that thought in my mind. But here, Hera is a general with the 5 pips here. To me, this should probably be captain, or that would be a full colonel, and that would be a captain. That's how the differences work. And then if you went 6, then you should really probably be a general. And then I don't know if I have a 5th or a 6th one or not. I think I'm out. If there was a 6th one here, then that would be an admiral. And in the Imperial, I mean, that goes in a line, but it works pretty similar to that, because rank is rank. And I realize that, it's people that weren't in the service that are doing some of this stuff, so they might miss a thing here or a thing there. But the part that bothers me is when they're sitting there saying, we have this here, that's a captain, but then you have someone else that has gone up 3 more times to make a basic general. There's quite a difference there. So, because when you're seeing that that's a low-ranked officer, and now that's suddenly someone that's earned command of a ship, that's kind of big. Like I said, this is just me ranting, and if this is all I have to rant about, this is very minor. I don't mind the pace in some regards. I know there's a lot of people that don't like the pace, and I understand their logic on it. I'm not arguing with them. The difference between me and them is because I grew up watching Star Wars and Star Trek, so I had both of them. And you watch Star Wars, you have a lot more action than you did in Star Trek. And Star Trek, and I think I've said this before, in Star Trek you have that build-up movie where they're building up to whatever's going to happen, and the next movie turns out to be in this movie that everything kind of happens in. So that's where we are. I know the movie, or the episode had actually kind of dropped last night at, say, like 9 o'clock, but I was editing the video that went up today, so obviously I didn't get into watching it because I was trying to take care of other things. And then I started working on this just a little bit. I didn't have all that much time this morning to work on it, mainly because I had to start work early this morning. Earlier. It's not early. I don't want to say I wasn't a real early bird, because it wasn't that early, but it was earlier than I normally would have started. And then I was at work an hour later than I normally would have been. So those are just the silly things that just kind of happen here, and you do what you do. So as I keep plucking away here, just kind of working on this, and I'm going to keep plucking away, and we'll just keep on going. I'm going to keep working. I'm going to call it a night for talking to you guys, because I don't have all that much else to say. I'm hoping that maybe I can kind of keep working on this and get it done a little bit more. It's getting a little on the later side for me. So again, thank you guys for stopping by and watching, in this case, listening to the silliness that goes on in my head and all that stuff. And I do appreciate it. I am looking in here though. We have cannon mounts. They gave us 2 cannons. This looks very interesting because we have wheels here. So that tells me that we can, if I move the cannon right, we can put them in here. The only thing that bothers me is I feel sorry for the guys because these aren't going to be overly light. I suppose it's very possible if you only had 2 cannons you could move them over to the other side, but boy, that would have to stink. Because normally from some of the pictures I've seen, they had ropes in that. Once you shot the cannon, it would kick back, and then they'd have ropes that they would actually, it kicks back, and then they'd have like a stop, and then they'd pull it back, fill it up, use the ropes to help pull it back in. These are neat. I'm going to do this. I don't normally do this. This does have a shooter, so if I pull this back, it does pull back and you can shoot. Here, I'm going to shoot right here, or try to, and it does shoot. So for those that like to shoot, these are still available. The ship's still available. The only thing that worries me is it's been out for a while, so I like the idea of the pirate ship for us doing Dungeons and Dragons for whenever my best friend and his son comes around. It gets us something that we can add on. I do have another ship. I think I showed you guys once before, but when I get this together, I'll show you both of them, because then it'll be a something worth it. Then we'll go from there. But that would have to stink to have to pull this, turn it around, and put it out the other side, though. Now we'll see how it goes. All right. With that being said, thank you so very much for joining me today. I do really appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful day, and keep frickin'.